are going to have to come out. It's so much star power on these teams. You got Jake Fromm on Georgia. Then you got Joe Burrows at LSU. Then you got DeAndre Swift at Georgia. And then you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire at LSU. So it's just back and forth star power. You look at the yards. Georgia, they're averaging they got 420 yards altogether on the season.
Jesus.
Well, no, they're averaging 420 yards.
Game.
Yeah, a game. And that's crazy. And then you look at LSU, 560. So I think it's going to be a big game in general.
It's going to have a lot of playoff implications too, for sure.
Yeah, just with number 1 and number 4 going against each other. And who do you think needs that more as far as, being in the playoffs? You got Georgia, who, by the way, that's another thing. I've heard a lot of people say Georgia don't belong in the top 4 because they lost to South Carolina. Do you say you agree with that, or can you agree with that?
I think they still deserve to be in it because you look at the teams they've beat. They beat number 6 Florida at the time. They went on the road against Auburn, who beat Alabama. That was a road game down in Auburn. They beat number 7 Notre Dame. So they have really good wins under their belt. I wouldn't say that one loss, which was in double OT to South Carolina, shouldn't matter too much. But, there's just when you have undefeated teams looking from the outside in, that's when you can say the loss can hurt them. But when you ask me who needs this more, I think give it to Georgia because if they do lose, they're definitely not going to make the playoffs. And I think if LSU loses this game, they could probably still make it, I would imagine, greater than if Georgia lost. So I think Georgia would need this one more for sure.
Yeah, I feel like this. First off, Georgia, they do deserve to be in the top 4, and I'm going to tell you guys why. South Carolina, they beat them, yes, but that happens. This is college sports.
Yep.
Flukes happen. If you continue to win out after a loss, you should still be in the top 4, especially when you're playing in the SEC, especially when you're in the position that Georgia is in, because they beat Florida, they beat Texas A&M, they beat Tennessee, they beat Georgia. South Carolina lost to all of those teams. So at the end of the day, yes, they do deserve to be in the top 4. Now, if they lost to LSU in this SEC championship, then I understand.
Right.
But as of right now, no, they definitely deserve to be in the top 4. Now, as far as who needs it more, I'm definitely going to say I feel like LSU needs it more just because they need that. They need that momentum going in, because even if they did lose and they made it to the playoffs, let's say they lost. They made it to the playoffs. That means they went to the playoffs without the same momentum that they would have walked in with if they would have won.
Went through the whole season without losing, lost in the conference championship. Yeah. It would just kind of suck for them for sure.
All right, and another thing that we mentioned is, Georgia's one loss. Another team that has one loss is Utah.
Sitting at 5 right there for that top 4.
Do they deserve a playoff bid? Do you think so?
I personally think they don't. I would give it if they beat Oregon tomorrow and they still have the one loss, and then Oklahoma wins the Big 12. I feel like, and then Georgia loses. I think Oklahoma should get in the top 4.
Yeah.
But that's just a personal opinion because I'd rather see Jalen Hurts in it than Utah. But I don't know. It's going to be. For that playoff committee, man, they got a tough task as always.
See, this is the thing. I feel like this. Utah, I can see if they did. This is the thing, because they're in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So the reason why I don't feel like they deserve the playoffs right now more than Georgia is because they haven't played an SEC schedule.
Right.
And a lot of people always say, oh, the SEC isn't good, and this, and that. The SEC beats up on each other more than any football conference that I can name right now.
Yep.
So I don't even want to hear that.
Especially compared to a conference like the Pac-12.
Yeah, by far. In the Pac-12, you're going to be tossing that thing. It's all air raid there.
Yep.
They're going to lower – they running the ball as I formation here with SEC football. Right. But this is the thing, though. Georgia and LSU, I just feel like if Georgia lost, then that's perfect for Utah.
Yeah.
Because now they only have one loss, and they've been winning out.
Yep.
And that's if it would have to go perfect. Georgia would have to lose, and Utah would have to beat
win the
Oregon.
Pac-12. Yep.
Yeah, in the Pac-12 championship.
Yep.
Now, and I don't think that's that hard.
No.
I think I've seen weaknesses out of Oregon, and I've seen strengths out of Utah that could make that happen.
Yep.
But That's a what if. That's a what if Georgia loses.
100%.
And as of right now, no, I don't feel like they deserve the playoff bid just because the four teams above them are better than them. And the four teams above them they would definitely beat them.
Let me see who Oklahoma plays in the Pac-12. So they play Baylor. So wow. So number 6 Oklahoma plays number 7 Baylor in the Pac-12 championship or the Big 12.
And the only reason I didn't put that on the script is because they're not in the top 4. Because I've been hearing so many people talking about expanding the playoffs. Expanding the playoffs. Look, as of right now, we're arguing about who the 3rd and 4th best team is. You add more teams.
That's just going to make it
We're going to be talking about the 7th and 8th.
Yep.
The 7th and 8th. I'd rather argue about the 3rd and 4th best team
Facts.
in the country than argue about the 7th and 8th best team in the country.
So these conference championships are the biggest games of the season for these teams because they're going to determine if you make it to go play for the even bigger games of your season. But at this moment right now, these teams just have to win the conference if they even want a chance to be in this top 4. Ohio State, LSU, I think they're locked down either way at those 1 and 2 spots. But then, like you just said, that 3 and 4 spot, man, it's literally up to like 4 teams right now.
I'm excited, though, man. I love college football so much. And this part right here, where these conference championships and the playoffs and stuff come, this is my favorite part.
Because this is when these players, it's everything. It's all or nothing at this point.
Yeah.
They're playing
it's
literally.
It's just something, you can't get that anywhere. You can't you can't get it anywhere, man.
Nope.
Only sports.
Yep.
All right, man. Number 6, Ohio State beat number 7, North Carolina. The score was 74-49, and I can't even explain how surprised I was to see that score. I didn't get to watch the actual live game, but I got to watch the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just, I don't know, I just was so shocked because they came into North Carolina and did that.
Yeah. I like you said, I was just surprised of how poorly North Carolina's offense was. They had a home game against a team ranked 6th, and they put up 49 points. Like, where's the offense at?
Dwayne Washington Jr. on Ohio State, oh my goodness, man.
Put them up.
Yeah, man. And you know, and you look at the big thing about it, I just think that because when you look at the stats, I don't really see the stats that far away besides, with the scoring.
Yeah.
So I just think the big thing about it is, it's college sports, things are going to happen, but it goes from 29-27 at half, in the first half.
Yep.
And then, at the end of the game, it's 74-49.
North Carolina scored 22 points in the half. That matters the most, while Ohio State put up 45 in the second half. They really decided to pull away from them, and once they did, North Carolina really couldn't pull it within closer. I think the closest they got to it I saw was like 12 points, but they couldn't crack to get it into single digits. And Ohio State just did everything they needed to on the road. North Carolina is a hostile environment.
Another thing, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but another thing about Ohio State, and you don't really get to see this a lot, and lately I've been seeing a lot of people not do as good of a job at it as they should, but free throws.
Yeah.
They were knocking them down 80%. Those are important points. You cannot leave those up, man.
Dude, if I was a coach, I am preaching, and I'm making my players shoot 1,000 free throws a practice, because like you just said, they're the easiest points you will get in a game, and they add up if you start missing. If you miss 2 free throws in the first quarter, the final score is you're down by 1. You hit those 2 free throws, you win the game 100%. It's the easiest shots on the court, and I know from experience playing a lot of basketball that they're nerve-wracking, especially late-game free throws. There's a lot of nerves out there.
It can lose you a game.
Right.
It can lose you a game. 80% for Ohio State and 61.5 for North Carolina.
Like, I hate when I'm watching my favorite team play and I see them missing free throws, especially in the NBA. You're making tens millions dollars and you can't hit a free throw, but I can go out there and I promise I'll hit 10 for 10 first try. It's not hard.
And if you're going to be, because Ohio State, they went 28% from the field. If you're going to go that much from the field, at least hit the free throws.
Right.
At least hit the free throws, because you got to get as many points as you can get. You can't leave. You just can't leave anything up there.
Yep.
All right, so another game that came on, man, Purdue and Virginia, man. How you feel about what you've seen in that game.
Purdue got the revenge. They stomped them, 29 points. So we're talking about North Carolina putting up 49 points. Virginia put up 40 points in 40 minutes on the road. Shout out to Purdue's defense, first off. Held them to 40 points, and it's the first time in the history of Mackey Arena that Purdue beat a top 5 team outside of the Big Ten. So huge win for that. And like I said, they got their revenge because Virginia, they beat Purdue last year in the Elite Eight. It was a crazy game. Carson Edwards was popping off. Went into OT. Virginia beat them 80-75. So I know that meant a lot to that team for sure.
Well, one thing that I noticed just out of the game in general is they spread the ball out well between the starters. Yep. Everybody got points.
Yep.
6 points for the forward, 11 for the center, 20 for a guard, 10 for a guard, 16 for a guard. That's good points. That's producing.
Yep. When you have your whole team producing like that, it's hard to lose. Because
it's easy to beat one person. It's hard to beat an entire team. So that's one thing that was really good. And just being able to beat a team that was undefeated in general, that's just something.
Reigning national champions.
Yeah, that's just something you got to. You do that, it's great, for the rest of the season.
So on Sunday, we get to watch North Carolina go to Virginia. So these two low-scoring teams on offense get to play each other on Sunday. Final score is probably going to be like 30-26, I would imagine. But yeah, it's going to be a good game for sure as well.
All right, and another thing that I wanted to talk about is you look at the defense of this game. It was really good.
Yeah.
Virginia only had 7 points in the first half. Oh, I'm sorry, 17 points in the first half.
It's insane.
And then so I'm just saying, if you're able to play defense like that, yeah, you're gonna be successful.
As long as you're
and
scoring on the other end.
You can be successful. You just gotta keep it up.
Yep.
You gotta stay consistent. If you can't, then you're probably gonna have 50, 40, 60, 70% win percentage instead of 80 and 90 like you want.
Yep.
All right, man. So you go ahead and tell us about this next story.
All right, so I looked this up, and we all knew about the Colin Kaepernick workout a couple weeks ago. That actually led to an NFL signing for the receiver, one of his receivers he was throwing it to, Jordan Vesey. He signed to the Redskins practice squad. He had also worked out for the Browns after this Kaepernick workout, but the Redskins brought him onto their practice squad, so I know... Like just shout out to him for sure.
I know he's calling Kaepernick like, hey man, I appreciate what you did for me.
I was reading the article and that's what he said. He said he was already 2 hours away. He hit up Kaepernick because they had known each other. I think VC, he went to like Cal or something, so they knew each other from when he was in college. And he called him. He said, hey man, I'd love to come help you out with this. Just knowing the amount of media attention to this, if you're the receiver, that's half the battle over there. So it's all eyes on you as well. And he was actually the receiver on that deep pass that everyone's seen that Kaepernick threw. He was actually the receiver who caught that. So there's a lot of good exposure for Jordan. And then he was undrafted, got signed to the Titans, then went to the Jags, and then he was on the Colts at the beginning of this season. But when final cuts came around after training camp, they let him go. He was on the Bills practice squad, and then now, like I just said, he's on the Redskins. So he got onto another organization, so shout out.
And he got he's been on a couple of practice squads.
Yeah.
I see here the Titans, the Jags, the Colts, the Bills. It's just good to get that opportunity again.
Of course.
And even though it's just a practice squad, you still playing football for money.
Yep.
It's people out here that got to get up and go do stuff like be a trash man every day. That's something you don't want to do. So
do you happen to know how much practice squad makes? Would you even have like an estimate? Or
it'll probably. I mean, it's so like vivid, but right. I mean, that's what Google's for. So all we have to do is just look it up, man. I'm gonna look at how much does a typical NFL practice squad player make?
Because you're still contracted by the NFL organization, so you're making some decent amount of money. But it's got to be a gauntlet as well because you're trying to get on the actual team and to get off that practice squad. But yeah, I would imagine it's a
okay. That's what it says. They make $7,600 per week. Minimum salary that's the minimum salary.
Wow.
So over a 4 regular season, it says here that they make $129,200. So
I definitely wouldn't mind that,
Yeah, that's decent, man. I mean, you got to be a practice dummy for a couple of days.
Facts,
but
100%.
hey, that's decent money.